Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's Zoom Kabbalat Shabbat. The weather's a bit warmer, it's nice. So today we're going to have, first of all, a Devar Torah from Brenda Symes for her first time. And then we're going to have Kabbalat Shabbat with Rabbi Shlomo Gerzi. So we'll start with you, Brenda. Over to you.
Right, thank you. I'd just like to say that I'm not very confident in my religious learning, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes. Right, Shemot. The translation of Shemot is names. This week's Sedra Shemot starts with the names of Jacob's immediate family, 68 males, I believe, but we will leave that discussion for another time. I chose to talk about this week's Sedra because I am interested in names. Why am I called Brenda? Which I've never liked. I was told it was because my parents were certain I was going to be a boy. There was no scanning or medical equipment in those very far off days to determine the sex of the baby. Brian was to be my name. Why? I never found out. So the nearest female equivalent was chosen, and I was stuck with it. Many immigrants in the 1900s, and even today, when asked their name by immigration, had the names written down into English phonetically by the officers. Later, some names were anglicized, maybe for fear of anti-Semitism. Not my Zeta. He proudly had the name Lieberman emblazoned above his baker's shop in Old Montague Street. My uncle Lionel, who composed music for shul services, changed it to Lee. My father to Lever, and reversed it to Revel for when he bought a hat shop for his sister. The Nazis took away the identity of their prisoners by giving every one of them a tattoo on their a number tattooed on their arms to remind them as long as they lived of the horrors they endured. My father-in-law changed his name Zin with a Z to Symes, much to the relief of my late husband Arthur, as when important information, e.g. exam results and choices of teams were given out alphabetically, he heard them before the end of the list, before tea, not prolonging the agony. During my teaching career, more and more Asians moved into the area, and when calling the register, I was faced with names I felt unable to pronounce correctly. So to prevent 30 children shouting out to me the correct name, I asked before starting the register, if I pronounce your name incorrectly, please put your hand up and tell me your name. This resulted in some children who have never had the courage to speak out in class actually calling out their name for the first time. When making a prayer for recovery from sickness, it is the mother's name, not the father's name, announced. I was told it's because the mother's name is definite. You can't argue with that. But I would like to believe it's because the mother nurtured the child for 9 months in the womb. Now I'm going to refer to a few female names important to us as Jews. Sarah, the wife of Abraham, meaning princess. Rivka, wife of Isaac, known for her strong character, meaning to tie or bind. Leah, wife of Jacob, meaning delicate or weary. Rachel, Jacob's other wife, her name means ewe, the animal, symbolizing purity. I would like to mention the very important women in this week's Sedra. Firstly, Yehovot, the mother of Miriam, Aaron, and Moses himself. She had the courage to hide a baby for 3 months and then devise a plan to rescue him. There can be no doubt as to her bravery and resourcefulness. Miriam, who kept watch over the baby floating down the river and approaching Pharaoh's daughter. Shifra, meaning to be fair, as in thoughts, and Puma, which could imply gift of speech, and therefore able to soothe the baby, were the Jewish midwives who defied Pharaoh's orders. They feared Hashem rather than Pharaoh. I think this exemplifies the principle of obeying divine laws, even when conflicting with human authority. It is believed they told Pharaoh that Jewish women gave birth very quickly so that they couldn't arrive in time for the delivery. We have Zipporah, wife of Moses. She was the daughter of a Midianite priest. She accompanied him on the hazardous journey and even performed the circumcision on their son. Lastly, I must mention Pharaoh's daughter, who had such great courage to bring an Israelite into Pharaoh's palace. Her name was Batcha, meaning daughter of God. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs said that to be a Jew is to be a blessing. So when I recall my Hebrew name, Bela Rochel, I hope I may contribute to the secular world and our vibrant Jewish community. Shabbat Shalom.
That was lovely. Thank you so
Lovely.
much, Brenda.
Go.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
very nice, Brenda.
Very
Thank
Lovely,
you.
Brenda. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you, Brenda. That was nice. That was very good.
Thank you all for your comments. I appreciate
Lovely.
it.
Beautiful to listen to you.
It was lovely, Brenda.
Okay.
Thank
Very
you, Brenda. You're
Now-
beautiful.